mythology, and this is Diana and Nubia. And I just like to speak on Nubia every so often to remind people that this is a non-mainstream character that really, really deserves mad up respect. Like, this is essentially a character who was billed as like Wonder Woman's sister at various times. And the story of Nubia reveals more to us about Diana. Actually, we get to know a little bit more about, her backstory. The story essentially, as it started off, now DC has actually changed it or kind of reworked the story, but initially, Diane came out in 1941. It's going to be like 30 years before Nubia comes out. She comes out in, I think it's like 73. So I'm right on that. She comes out in like 73. But the significant thing about this character isn't the gap between. Like, obviously there was a lot in there. But when she jumps on the screen, we get to see like a different side. Like, the mythology was that Hippolyta, because the old Wonder Woman mythology was that Hippolyta had crafted her out of clay, right? This white, pure clay, and went to the gods and they brought it to life for her. And that's because this is her daughter. Well, the story with Nubia is that they use brown clay. So similar clay, similar process, just a little bit in the shading. And that's why you get this, per this mythology. Now, the other story that DC started working with this is that Diana is actually the son of Zeus, right? So that, again, they hit her origin so that, Hera's down there tripping, right? You already saw she tried to do Hercules. She wouldn't have worked with Diana, but you can see why. Why she would have put it down. So this is where you get Nubia. Now, Nubia, now in the second story, the second rendition of at least Diana, Nubia is just considered an Amazon who rises to power and eventually becomes the queen. So there's a good relationship with this character there all the time. Now, the difference is Nubia on the storyline was kidnapped from birth. And she was raised by Ares, who of course is the war god, right? So that's where a lot of her problems come from. Diana, of course, grew up differently. And they grew up to be Diana more of a guardian. Nubia now operates as more of an ambassador, right? Diana grew up on Themyscira. It was a great place to always clean. And this is kind of the big takeaway, is that Nubia never got that, right? Like, Nubia was kidnapped. She was kidnapped by Ares. So she gets up. Again, Ares is as bad as it gets in warfare. So this is a guy who's kind of giving her, kind of pumping her up to go and fight Diana. So the two characters do finally get to interact, and they actually walk away from it being relatively friendly with one another. So that's a good part of the story that I actually really like. And most people don't know that Wonder Woman kind of has she's kind of not her sister now. At least they don't show any direct connections in that regard. But it's different because, we're seeing their culture being more accepting, just being kind of cool with everybody, which I think is more important than the symbolisms anyway. So that's kind of where I was going with this, this idea of Nubia, and just kind of talking about the difference between her and Diana. And I really like it. Right now I'm kind of into the Supergirl, flick. So I'm definitely looking at like Women of Agency actually looks pretty dope, right? Like, so we see a couple of like, obviously real type of leader chicks, right? So I'm feeling really, really good about it. And I like both the characters. I like how Nubia rolls. And I hope that we can get more development out of this character. That's ultimately what I would wish for. So that's kind of my time right now. Like, I just kind of want to go over those topics right there. I'll probably be back later because I'm sure I'm going to see something that's going to make me like, damn it, I got to talk about that. And I will do that. But until that time, you guys always check us out. Link up with me. If you guys want to follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff, I'll make sure it's worth your while. I definitely appreciate all the support that I get, man. Like, it's an amazing feeling for you to do something and people just be like, I like what you do.